This story is called The Tuesday Ghost. Ben strode along the tracks from Allgood in the early morning shadows. He grasped the scaly feet of 2 chickens in each hand as he walked along. They hung head down. They were almost anesthetized, and they hung there with their wings partly open. Ben moved his arms as he walked, as he stepped on every other railroad tie. And as he moved, the wing feathers brushed the knees of his new suit pants. When Ben reached Cookville, the sun was just clearing the tops of the trees. He joined the crowd on Cedar Street. Everyone was there. It was Chicken Tuesday, and everybody had come to town to either buy or sell chickens and eggs from Mr. Perry Morgan. Now, Ben had been selling chickens to Mr. Morgan since he was a little fella. He had even ridden in Mr. Morgan's chicken car, tending the chickens with food and water on their last train trip on their way to New York dinner tables. Now, Ben walked into Morgan Produce, and he passed a fellow in a straw boater hat who was standing at the Cracker Barrel. Ben walked to the back of the store, where a small, round man was standing behind the counter. "Morning, Mr. Morgan. I brought you the last 4 chickens that I owe you. Well, just put them here in the cage, Ben. That'll be fine," said Mr. Morgan. "And son, that suit looks fine." "Yes, sir, I know, especially now that it's all paid for." "Well, is today the day?" asked Mr. Morgan. "Yes, sir," said Ben. "I've got my coin in this pocket. I've got my cash in this pocket, and I'm on the way to the coin show in Nashville." "Well, good luck," said Mr. Morgan. "Thank you, sir." Ben left Morgan Produce, and he crossed the street, and he joined the line in front of the depot. When he reached the ticket office, he pulled out his roll of cash, and he said, "I'd like to buy me a round-trip ticket on the Nashville Shopper." "Well, hello, Ben," said the ticket agent. "You're not traveling in baggage today?" "Oh, no, sir," said Ben. "I'm going first class. I'm going to go to the coin show, and I'm going to find out all about my grandpa's coin." "Well, here's your ticket, Ben. Here's your change, and good luck to you." "Well, thank you." Ben put his cash and the ticket in his pocket, and then he stepped back from the window right into the man who was wearing that straw boater hat. "Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry," said Ben. Well, the fella tipped his hat, and he stepped around Ben and up to the ticket window. Ben boarded the train and found his seat. He sat down and he got comfortable, and then he pulled his grandpa's coin out of his pocket. He laid it on the little table that stood between the seats. The coin was a big silver coin and heavy. On one side, there was a woman sitting down, and she was holding a flag. On the other side was an eagle with outstretched wings. Ben's grandpa had told him how he had carried that coin all the way to the Shiloh battlefield and back. His mama had told him how, when he was growing his baby teeth, that biting on that coin of his grandpa's was the only thing that would keep him from crying. Now, his grandpa had passed this winter, and the coin now belonged to Ben. His plan was to take it to the coin show, find out all about it, find out what it was worth. Maybe he'd use some of his chicken money to buy an album to put the coin in and show it off. And maybe he'd buy a few more coins, too, for his collection. "All aboard," called the conductor. And Ben put the coin back in his pocket, and settled back as the train began to move. Well, Ben went to Nashville that morning, and he came back that night on the Cookeville train. Aunt Eva saw him. She said he was sitting with a fella in a straw hat, and they were leaned over looking at something on the table between their seats. And that was the last that anyone ever saw of Ben. He never got home that night. And the next morning, when he still hadn't gotten home, they sent out the officers and the dogs. But they never found Ben. They never found anything but a little piece of black cardboard with a slit in it, like what you'd find in a coin album. Well, a week later, the next Tuesday, Will Harris got off the train in Cookeville and headed up the tracks toward Allgood and home. It was getting dark, and Will had had a tough day. He could use some company, but he was alone. And then he noticed up ahead there was a light, and it was bobbing along as though someone walking along the tracks was holding a lantern. "Hey there, wait up," called Will. But no one answered, and the light just kept going. It went on, and when they reached Allgood, the light just disappeared. Well, from that evening, every Tuesday night, that light reappears along the tracks between Cookeville and Allgood. It just bobs along. It never hurts anybody. But nobody can ever catch up that light. And it disappears when you get to Allgood. They say that it's Ben, still looking for his grandpa's coin. And that's the story of the Tuesday Ghost.